Well, the Tampa Bay Rays had their end of season press conference, and there were some fun nuggets to glean from all of that.
Yes, there were. So get your honey mustard, get your barbecue sauce, and let's dip those nuggets in starting right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social medias, X and Instagram, and email us anytime with your mailbag questions, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, as we mentioned in the open, the Rays had their end of season press conference led by Kevin Cash, Peter Bendix, and Erik Neander. I think it was roughly 40 minutes with various questions from the likes of Mark Topkin, our buddy Evan Klosky, and others. First off, Ulises, I don't know how much of the press conference that you watch, but anything in the bits and pieces and clips that you may have saw, anything that stuck out to you or tickled your fancy one way or the other?
Yeah, I think the tonality of it I liked. And the word expectations was thrown around by the three of them, by Bendix, Neander, and Cash. And they all said that they liked the expectations being raised and that they're not happy with first round elimination. And I think that's really good for the fandom to hear. I feel like that's a tremendous move on their part to not be satisfied. Not be completely, this is an aberration, but saying, hey, we're not just content with just getting into the playoffs. I think that's a very cool thing to recognize because, you've got to elevate your standards. And Kevin Cash, I think, said it best. He's not going to want to be here when that becomes the case, when the monotony of just being okay with just getting into the playoffs and not wanting more, he won't want to be there. And I like hearing that from the three people in charge of this fandom.
Yeah, it's really nice. And again, not to put any blame on anything, but it's the nature of the beast. You play 162 games and then in a matter of 48 hours, it's all over. And it's a shame. I know that Peter Bendix made a comparison with football. Like it's like playing a 16 game season and then you get 2 minutes to kind of dog it out and to see who moves on to the next round in the playoffs. So, and as we're seeing in this current iteration of the playoffs, it's not always the best team with the best regular season record that makes it far, does the best in the postseason. Some of the things that kind of stood out to me, Neander, anyway, he had pointed out that attendance was up over 30%. He said that Kevin Cash, he believes this is the best job that he's ever done in his time as Tampa Bay Rays manager. I don't know if he qualified that with, he didn't qualify that with in the regular season versus in the playoffs and so forth. But I understand where he's getting to. I know we've beaten up on Cash a little bit or quite a bit based on some of the decision making that transpired in the playoffs, but I think regular season, just keeping the ship righted amid all the injuries, amid not just all the injuries, but the timing of the injuries and who the injuries happened to, and the rookies that had to step up and contribute. The Wander Franco mess, you're navigating a stadium announcement as well in the middle of all that. A lot of distractions can kind of unfurl a season one way or the other. Having said that, I think Cash absolutely deserves a lot of credit for sure in helping the team win 99 games, but it's also the onus on the clubhouse and the guys in the clubhouse to take care of each other and to take care of themselves and to make sure that things are steady going forward. And I know that leadership was pointed out for Zach Eflin and Yandy Diaz. So I think that also has to be mentioned, that we often talk about, managers putting the guys in the best season in the best position to perform, and also making sure that the personalities match and everybody's getting along. That is an important part of it. But I also think that some of the veterans and the guys that are spending time with each other and that are part of that group, also responsibilities on them and credit has to be given to them as well. And I know that those two guys were mentioned over the course with Eflin and Yandy, what they were able to do.
And add to Kevin Cash's great season the fact that they had a horrible July, a franchise worse month, and they were able to come out of it with a really good August and September. So again, Kevin Cash, one of the best regular season managers that we've seen, and 99 wins do not come easily. I think that's why you would be really angry as a Rays fan to hear the word pesky being thrown as an adjective for the Rays, because they didn't have a pesky season. A pesky season, I think, would be the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks winning 84 games in the regular season and doing what they're doing right now, just sneaking in, grinding into the playoffs, where the Rays were, despite the awful July, I mean, they've been in for a while. They've solidified themselves for a while now. Yeah. And they're not a 1-year upstart. I mean, they've been doing this thing 5 years in a row now.
5 years in a row. I don't think you can do that. So so Kevin Cash, I agree with Neander that this was the best year. Look, and especially because you had to, as a manager now in 2023, it's not like you have the Sharpie and the pencil and really digging in like old school managers were. That stuff is being handed down from the front office most of the time, and you've got plans and you've got layouts and all that, but it's keeping the guys in the room in the clubhouse in check and coming in with the same attitude. Even Keel, he apparently does that very well. I did remember in the beginning of the season when they said they tried something new, which was to in the clubhouse they had next to each other one pitcher to a position player to a pitcher to a position player, so that everybody could get to know each other. That was in the beginning of the season. Then as the season went on, did that change? Because they stopped talking about that. And in the post-game conferences, it didn't feel like that was the case, with the clubhouse locker. So I don't know. Do you remember that in the beginning, and do you remember this kind of changing?
Yeah, I do recall the putting the pitchers next to the position players. Was it, I could be way off on this, was it Glasnow next to Wander, something along those lines? And then I think maybe it was just a case of the storyline's been covered and there's really nothing else to do with that. I didn't hear one way or the other from the media. Maybe Evan Klosky would know a little bit better, but yeah, it's I don't know how much, if anything, to read into that, but I think the point in the statement is well said with that. So, you win 99 games, and it's a disappointing finish for sure. Another thing that stood out was that Neander said there's the opportunity at least to bring back nearly all of the group. Nearly all. We'll see what that means in a couple months, but I'm going ahead and looking down the road, and I know Topkin's written about it already, is you look at some of those big salary figures that are coming through the pipeline in 2024 and beyond, and it's like they are on pace. If they basically brought everybody back, their payroll would be significantly higher than it's ever been.
110, 120 mil. If everything is...
We know inflation's bad, but the Rays are going to fight inflation as best as they can. They've been doing it for 15 years now.
Yeah, I would be very interested in which names they can go ahead and say, yes, we're we're in for this, and we're gonna have the whole off season to talk about that. But maybe before we do that, we got to tell you about Jase Medical. Modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains can be fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment you need. Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out their online form, and one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then Jase will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies, where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. You can also send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions at any time. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical. Plus, an additional $20 off by using code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at checkout at jasemedical.com. Again, go use the code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com.
The other thing I wanted to point out, and I'm glad you brought it up, as far as, in the beginning of the season and just overall, the job of a manager has shifted and changed, where you are taking so much direction and more or less orders from the front office of, this is how you need to lay out the pitching staff. This is how you need to lay out the roster and the bullpen and the lineup construction. And I think it's tough to be caught or stuck in the middle, where you're having to explain to the players, the rank and file, as to why they're playing or why they're not playing or why they're being put in this position. And it's, the front office sees this, that, and the other thing. Being that conduit, that go-between, is very, very challenging. And now, especially with all the Wander Franco mess that came about over the past couple months, social media is a different beast. It's a different danger nowadays. And I think being able to have to consider all of that as you're going through a season, and all the rumors and the scuttlebutt that is put forth, and just in general, I think, something we've learned over the last couple of years, player, not just health, physical health, but mental health has really come to the forefront. And it's something that, 20, 30, 40 years ago, maybe even not, maybe 5 years ago, it's something that wasn't even considered. It was, hey, you got to be tough and macho, and you got to fight through it. I don't want to hear about your feelings. But now it's a different day and a different era, and something that Cash and other guys have had to adjust and model to some extent.
There's one thing that came out of the pandemic that was positive, and that was that to talk about mental health stopped kind of being so taboo. You don't even have to go that far, and it's very interesting.
We've seen it and heard it over the last couple of years. We would have never heard about Austin Meadows and Ryan Thompson and Ryan Sheriff, and other guys as well, just being as open about some of their struggles and challenges, and being able to, in a way, you have to play psychologist and listen to guys' feelings nowadays.
Yeah, and Justin Sua, the mental health coach for the Rays, he's always in the dugout. I see him all the time talking to Glasnow, or Glasnow talking to him, which is pretty cool. I like that, seeing that when they broadcast that. But I got a feeling, man, that when you're the manager and this whole shortstop debacle happens, there's no way. Like, I don't remember this reading about this, a Top Gun article or Klosky mentioning this, but there had to be a meeting. There had to be a meeting with the players, and hey, this is what's going down. And if there wasn't a meeting, I'd be very surprised. But if there wasn't a meeting, there was sure as hell an open door policy to Cash and Neander for a Luke Raley to go inside and say, hey, can I talk to you for a sec?
Yeah.
Can you just tell me what the bleep is going on, man? but I would be very surprised to hear that an organization that tries to be as communicative as possible to its players and saying, hey, this is your role, this is how we see you, hey, this is what you need to do, hey, we just acquired you, this is what you do well, we want you to do this. I would very communicative to not in the most chaotic, hectic, off the field issue that they've ever encountered.
Yeah.
To not be communicated. That's why I don't remember them talking about it, Topkin or Kloski or whatever, but I would be very surprised that they didn't sit down with the players and said, hey, we this is what we know. If you have any questions, let us know. But you got to put it out there.
Yeah, you got to brief them on it and do as much as you can with that. You have to kind of control the message as best as possible and let them be briefed on what's going down before it crosses paths in the media.
And that's a positive.
Social media. And
that's a positive, for Kevin Cash and the front office to keep their players, aware and informed. And that is a good trait about being a manager. But I mean, you were talking about, what we've laid into Kevin Cash. I think it should be said, postseason, playoffs. There's not much, and we even said this. I think I even said this before the playoffs started. I was like, we haven't had a lot of Kevin Crash moments, which is good, and it makes sense in a 99 win season to not have a lot of Kevin Crash moments. That's good. It just seems that once the team is in the playoffs, there have been some questioning moves, and that's what we're arguing.
I think the only answer is that MLB needs to restructure the playoffs. Let's do 11-game series, 13-game series, 15-game series, best of 11, best of 13,
Hot
best
take.
of 15.
Hot take. I was talking to my dad yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, in 5 years, what they're gonna do is like eliminate 4 teams and then have 26 teams go to the playoffs. It's ridiculous." And I was like, "Okay, I understand where you're coming from." Which honestly, that's exactly what has been happening now, just like adding more teams and adding more teams.
Right.
But I told them, I was like, you're going to be upset with me because I'm going against tradition here, but enough with the 162. We've had enough 162s. Enough. Yeah. Put that regular season to 100, and then you want your playoffs with the 8 teams. Okay, then give me 10-game series, 7-game series from the wild card up to the World Series. If that's where you think that you're making your money and that's where, more people are going to be engaged. But 162 and then your whole fate, this team won 99 games, Kevin. Yeah. And in 2 games, your season is over. Then what the hell was that 162 for?
I know that's what I've been saying. I mean, I know that it's not going to happen for a long time, although under Manfred, who knows, maybe they've got something up their sleeve or up their sleeves. But I mean, I think you got to start at, best of 5 at the least with a wild card and best of 7 preferably. I mean, you've got to give these guys, prove that, your depth in your roster has earned the chance to make it further. So, yeah, I mean, how much over the years of 162 meaningless, draining, boring baseball over the course of August and September for some teams, all 6 months or 5 months, but a lot of teams who didn't have a puncher's chance, that it's just, we're just playing out the string here. That's it.
And when a good team comes along, they always lose. They always it. So I understand you can't have a 60-game season. I understand that. Do you need a 162? There's a line where we all know, okay, these are the
140,
good teams.
130, 125. I don't know.
Sure, something like that. And I know you all probably can say, well, the Mariners were eliminated 2 days before the season ended, or the Houston Astros didn't win until the last day of the season. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's minimal cases, and 2, well, then just win it in 125. I don't know if you guys have a better way to fix 162. You win 99 games and then you lose in 2, and then that's it. If you have a better option than what we're saying, please drop it in the YouTube comments.
Well, I think they've kind of to your point, they've helped that a little bit by expanding playoffs and giving more teams a chance towards the end and hope towards the end. I mean, that exponentially increases the number of teams that are in the race and in the running. So at least it gives those respective fan bases and baseball in general interest in however many teams, more so than previously where the playoffs was so contracted and so small as before. Speaking of playoffs, we have a note on that. But first, October baseball is back. You should know that by now already, of course. And you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel. You should make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON locked on to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch until the very last out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will actually win the dang thing. And if you don't want to wait the whole game to get a W, predict what will happen in the next at bat with what they have called quick bets. That's pretty cool as well. So head over to FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Ulises, we put a poll out there on X, formerly known as Twitter, the other day, asking Rays fans, where are you with the old game of baseball now that the Rays are out of contention? Is baseball dead to you? Will you watch a little bit of the playoffs? Anyone but Houston to win the playoffs, and just rooting for Longo, baby. And the voting was interesting across the board. 30% suggests that baseball is dead to them at this current juncture. 17% said they'll watch a little bit of the playoffs. 14% say, hey, anyone but the Astros. And then 39% say, hey, it's the Evan Longoria show. And quite literally, there have been some Evan Longoria show moments. I hope he doesn't have too much of an injury issue after being struck on the hand by a pitch in Game 2 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. I think he's considered day-to-day at this standpoint. But me personally, I'm with the voting populace here. It's all about Evan Longoria. I really, really want to see him get that first ring. He's been in the league 14, 15 years. He's had some chances, some shots at it. He seems to be rejuvenated. Heck, he was supplanted or implanted as the starting third baseman now for the Diamondbacks. He's making leaping catches that, harken back to vintage Gold Glover Longoria. He's hitting sac flies. He's getting clutch base hits, driving and runs. He's doing a little bit of everything, seemingly. So, and he's kind of the mouthpiece for this upstart Diamondbacks team as well.
Yeah, it's great to see him in this role. Now, I usually would be baseball is dead to me. In after 2019 and the Rays get to the ALDS and they go 5 games, you showed fight. You actually fought. You were in the fight, man. And then you lose. That's when baseball is dead to me. And I didn't want to do anything to do with baseball. But the last 2 seasons, Kev, 2022 and 2023, I mean, it was barely playoffs, and you didn't really see any playoff moments from your team. So
yeah,
you kind of feel like there's just like this hankering, this craving for more baseball that like you're really more invested into the playoffs. And so that's happened in the last 2 years for me. In fact, I think honestly, I am so wanting baseball that for the second year in a row, I'm going to be a daily follower of the Venezuelan Winter League again.
There we go.
I feel like I need it. I need the baseball because I didn't get to see my team play baseball in October. I really didn't. If you're a Rays fan, you didn't really get to see. You saw Curtis Mead RBI single. Good for Curtis Mead. That was it.
That was it, basically.
You saw Randy Arozarena do Randy Arozarena things in the playoffs. That was it.
You saw a lot of errors. Wild pitches, walks,
Whew.
strikeouts
You saw a lot of bad things
from your offense.
You
Yeah.
saw a lot of blue seats. I went and I didn't even get to feel playoff baseball atmosphere. Yeah. That's so disappointing. I love Troptober. That wasn't it.
Yeah. You felt like late July, early August.
Yes.
Baseball.
Yeah. Disappointed across the road there. So I have to agree with you 1,000%. I want Longo is the guy right now. So the D-backs are up 2 against the Dodgers. Love nothing more than an upset in the playoffs. So I am rooting for them. It's really fun to see that Phillies Braves series. I mean, Travis d'Arnaud was huge last night with that home run. It's and I mean, obviously, love Ronald Acuna Jr. and it's amazing to see a guy being such a game changer with everything that he is. I mean, the guy gets plunked, he's on first, or walked rather, and there's a single to right field, Kevin. He goes from first to third. The ball comes in from right field to Trey Turner. It gets a bad bounce, but Ronnie never stops. He's always looking at the play. And then he just went home. Just a little blip of an error, and then you get a guy scoring from first to get them going. Like it's really amazing. So that's a really cool series. I want the Twins to win. I'm sorry, Houston fans. I want the Twins to win. I mean, you've got Rocco Baldelli there. He's doing a great job. A lot of old friends are in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that people really need to. Now, my fiance's a Phillies fan, so we've been watching that Braves-Phillies series. That could be one for the record books when it's all said and done, especially what happened over the course of game 2. But Ronald Acuna Jr., I'm glad you brought him up because I still feel like he's not being talked about like he should be talked about. I know we all focus our attention on Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and I guess others, Aaron Judge, for example. But what Acuna's done this season and really over his entire career, I did see a really interesting stat where, I mean, just look at his strikeout to walk ratio. It's compared to, you can just see the evolution in his game from 2019 to now, where in 2019 he was striking out 190 times. Now he's striking out 80 times, basically, and still putting up the same type of numbers, even more so. I mean, with the stolen bases added to the home runs and the batting average and the hits and everything combined. So he's really a treat to watch. But going back to Evan Longoria, I think everybody who's a Rays fan should and will be rooting for him and maybe the Diamondbacks on the whole. Maybe it provides a little hope and inspiration for the Rays of, hey, an expansion team can win it all. An expansion team can go up against the Dodgers and others and take them down. And hey, man, this team won 84 games and they won the whole thing or made it to the World Series. Why can't we do that with a bunch of young kids by the name of Corbin Carroll and Alec Thomas? Why not us, basically?
Oh, boomer take. I have a boomer take here. Okay. Why them, not us? Where's the veteran leadership? Where's your Tommy Pham? Where's your Evan Longoria and the Rays?
That's a good
position
point.
Player. Don't give me Zach Eflin, people. Give me position players. Where's your Evan Longoria? Where's your Tommy Pham?
Yeah. And that's kind of why in the offseason we were saying, hey, bring back Longo, not just for the storyline and a marketing opportunity and a publicity opportunity, but actually what he provides in terms of that leadership and guidance. And man, he's got a whole lot of experience under his belt, a whole lot of wisdom under his belt. I don't care if, basically since 2020, he's only going to give you, between 50 to 80 games. He's going to do a lot more to help you out. And just really want him after, 342 career homers and being a 3-time Gold Glover and now just turning 38 years old, more than 25 career postseason hits as well to his name. Really want to see him get that first ring. I don't, 100%. Even if he gets that ring, I don't think that'll be enough to get him into the Hall, but
Helps them
it's
though.
something that is well deserved for him. Again, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Longo's peak was about as good as any third baseman, but
It just needed to be like
injuries
2 more
and
years.
after the trade to San Francisco, it just dropped off after there.
It just needed, that peak needed to be just a couple of years longer. But no, good for Longo. Hope everything turns out for Longo and he wins that ring. Honestly, I know some fans are like, "Oh, I want him to only win a ring again with the Rays." Like, nah, fam. I want Longo to win it no matter what. And God, wouldn't it be nice to have Longo rubbing shoulders with Curtis Mead? I want Curtis Mead to learn from Longo.
Yeah.
I want Junior Caminero to be in the same clubhouse with Longo and just pick his brain. Like, this is how you stay in the big leagues for 15 years, kid. And they're still productive at 38. Like,
Right.
there's a value in that. And I know there's some people that are like, no, but
they just look at his OPS, they just look at
Yeah.
his swing speed and his outs above average. They don't care about any of
I feel like
the things that really can't be measured.
I feel like people that don't care about intangibles have never worked in an office before.
Yeah. Oh, it matters.
Like, you understand, like, that's an office to them. Like, if you don't care about intangibles, all right, let me toss you in a toxic environment in an office space and see how you deal with that. Let me throw you in an office space where nobody knows what they're doing. Let me throw you in an office space where people don't care, where people don't know how to succeed. Let me throw you in that office space. See how much you like it. See how much you can deliver, how much output you can have in that environment. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's very well said. Yeah, this is a job, it's a career, just like with baseball, any other sport, any other industries, there are people that you're going to get along with, that you're going to jive with, that you're not going to get along with, that have more wisdom and leadership qualities than others, that can explain and get along with others better. And I feel like Evan Longoria is that glue guy, could be that glue guy. So I don't know what's in store for him after this year. If I was the Diamondbacks, I'd probably bring him back again. And then maybe at some point, if he so is interested in doing, starts a coaching career or a player advisor role, something to that effect. But he's definitely been great to the game. The game's been great to him. And he's just one of those, important dudes that you need around your organization, especially for, like I mentioned, a young team like the Diamondbacks, between the Corbin Carrolls and the Alec Thomases and the Gabriel Morenos and the Geraldo Perdomos. I mean, it's like, again, he went through it all in 2008 when there was David Price and BJ Upton and Carl Crawford and rotation of guys under 26 years old. So so we'll be watching that going forward. Hopefully more good moments for him. Again, still don't think he's going to make it quite over the finish line into the Hall of Fame. Heck, if it took this long for Fred McGriff to get in, man, I just, it's unfortunate. But all right, there we go. That is today's episode. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.